No matter how hard they try, reporters just can't shake Karoline Leavitt. Don't believe it? Let me show you exactly what I mean.
Vladimir Putin's intentions, and specifically it was asked whether or not his intentions go beyond, his territorial ambitions go beyond Ukraine. How does the president view this issue?
The president has spoken on this. He said, as he calls it, he believes Ukraine was always the apple of Putin's eye. And he made it very clear to Putin in his first term not to invade Ukraine. Putin didn't invade Ukraine because of President Trump's peace through strength foreign policy agenda and the effective deterrence policies that he implemented in the first term. Unfortunately, because of the weakness and incompetence of the previous administration, Vladimir Putin made the decision to invade Ukraine. And now we have this brutal war, which the president is working very hard to end.
I've got to say, she's absolutely spot on here. There truly was peace through strength, and Joe Biden completely squandered that advantage in the United States. He didn't just lose control, he caused us serious global respect. People love to say, oh, Trump made us a laughingstock on the world stage. But let's be real, he kept the world in check. This is the same guy who walked straight into the lion's den with North Korea, dealing with some of the most dangerous, unpredictable leaders on the planet. Not exactly the kind of folks you play nice with. But Trump managed to stabilize things in a way no one else had. Like him or not, he pulled it together when it counted.
There's a lot of security around the White House complex, around the Capitol complex, even along the tidal basin. Is that just proactive? Are you expecting anything in particular in terms of unrest like we've seen in Los Angeles?
These are proactive security measures to protect those marching in the parade, many of whom will be veterans and our brave men and women in uniform and Gold Star families. There's going to be military families from around the country who are flying into this parade. And of course, it's to protect the spectators who will be enjoying this incredibly patriotic show on Saturday. And I hope you all join us there.
Now watch Karoline do what she does best. Set the record straight and put people in their place. Buckle up, because the questions coming her way are about to get a lot tougher and a whole lot less polite than what we saw from John in that last clip.
Democrats saying they want to reclaim the American flag. It's also being titled No King's Day.
The president views himself as the president of the United States of America. This is a constitutional republic, and we want to see all of our citizens be proud of the country in which they are given the privilege and the blessing to live. And I think that those images of foreign flags being waved with, by illegal criminals and by violent rioters in the face of cars blowing up and of flames in the city. I have photos of that here to show you. With this violence and destruction that occurred is an image that Governor Gavin Newsom owns. This is his city, and President Trump saw these images and he said that is not going to be accepted or tolerated, and hence why he deployed the National Guard and United States Marines who have helped to quell that violence.
Absolutely nailed it. Couldn't have said it better myself. And here's what really stands out. This White House isn't just throwing around talking points or vague rhetoric. They're bringing receipts. Cold, hard proof. That's something you rarely see in politics. People love calling Trump the content president. And honestly, Asmongold helped make that phrase stick, and for good reason. We're not just talking about problems anymore. We're showing them. We're putting up pictures, dropping evidence, and saying, here's what your city looks like. Now do something about it. That's how you shake people awake. That's how real accountability and real change actually begins.
If the president does end up deploying any National Guard members, perhaps Marines, to blue states, would he be in contact with the governors prior to this? Would it be necessary?
Well, President Trump was in contact with Governor Gavin Newsom despite some of the claims he's made in the last couple of days. The president called the governor on Friday evening and told him to let law enforcement in California do their job, but they have been kneecapped by incompetent Democrat policies and Democrat politicians. President gave Gavin Newsom a warning and said, get it together. 24 hours later, we saw more images like this. We heard about Border Patrol agents who were being the target of rocks. These illegal criminals were throwing rocks at our Border Patrol and ICE agents. And so the president made the decision to federalize California's National Guard.
Next up, Karoline Collins. You know the look, that permanent scowl, like someone just walked by carrying week-old garbage. She always looks mad, vaguely disgusted, and completely over it. Just take one look, and you'll see exactly what I mean.
Caitlin.
Secretary Noem sent a memo to the Pentagon asking Secretary Hegseth to have and direct the military that's on the ground in LA to arrest and detain what she said were lawbreakers. Is the president okay with that? And under what authority would the members of the military be able to arrest people inside the United States?
And as you know, the president federalized the National Guard under U.S. Code 10, which he has the authority to do. And our United States Marines and the National Guardsmen and women who are on the ground right now are helping to create a peaceful environment for ICE and Border Patrol, who were being, again, hailed with rocks, who were being violently and viciously attacked. They needed reinforcements, and so our United States Marines who are on the ground are providing those reinforcements to ensure the environment is peaceful so that these raids and deportations can continue.
And if you thought that was the end of it, think again. Karoline came back for more, and Karoline fired off another perfectly timed counterpunch.
He realizes they can't actually arrest people unless he invokes the Insurrection Act, which, I mean, seemingly was not something that was in Secretary Noem's memo, a clear distinction she did not make there.
Again, you're trying to conflate a letter that was sent to the Department of Homeland Security to the president's legal authority. The president understands the legal authority that he invoked, and that's the current situation right now.
When it comes to federalizing the National Guard, what is the specific criteria that the president is using for when he's deciding to do that, and in which states?
The president was asked and answered this yesterday. He wants to see an end to the chaos and the violence. He doesn't want to see law enforcement officers being attacked. He wants to see peace. He wants law-abiding Californians to be able to bring their kids to school, to be able to go to work without seeing this violence in the streets. That's what the president's hoping for, and that's why he's taken this action.
This is a lad, and he's with Timcast News. I didn't even realize he was going to be there, which makes this even cooler. What this moment shows is something major about this White House. We're finally embracing the voices that actually matter online. Think about it. Timcast isn't just some niche outlet. It's the largest daily live political show in the world. Hands down. Maybe Asmongold edges him out in raw numbers now, but still, Timcast is a giant in the space. And a lad being there, front and center, asking real questions, that's a big deal. Huge congrats to him. Seriously awesome to see. But more than that, it's a sign of something bigger. It shows that these platforms, outside the old-school legacy media bubble, are finally being recognized as legitimate. That voices from the digital space deserve a real seat at the table. That's what progress looks like. All right, now let's get into this final clip. You're definitely going to want to see this.
Is the First Amendment protection the most important? Is stopping violence most important? Why is he not out saying all peaceful protesters will be protected?
I think two things can be important at the same time, and the president, as I just answered, supports the right of Americans to peacefully protest. He supports the First Amendment, but that is not the majority of the behavior that we have seen taking place in Los Angeles. We have seen mobs of violent rioters and agitators assaulting law enforcement officers, assaulting our federal immigration authorities. And we have seen, as I said, this goes back to what this administration is trying to do and accomplish, and that's enforcing law and order in our nation's communities.
And isn't it kind of hilarious, if not totally ridiculous, watching Gavin Newsom act like everything's perfectly fine? Just sitting there with a straight face, practically begging us to believe, no, really, it's all good. Same with the mayor. Nothing to see here, folks. Meanwhile, the reality on the ground couldn't be more obvious and more chaotic. But here's where you come in. I genuinely want to hear what you think about all of this. These issues affect all of us, and your voice matters more than ever. So drop a comment, share your thoughts, and let's have a real conversation about it. And hey, don't forget to like, subscribe, and engage however you can. It helps more than you realize. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.